Hello and welcome to our Agentic and Generative AI 101 training program. Now in this training program, we are going to be modernizing our finance and treasury operations. And we are going to do that by leveraging AI through real-world use cases. In Chapter 1, we're going to do a quick course introduction and discuss the learning outcomes. More specifically, we're going to cover the course and instructor introductions real quick. We'll jump into AI in finance today. We'll then get into the learning outcomes from taking this course. And then we will wrap up by understanding how you can get the most from participating in this training program. Now, this course is intended to be a practical, non-technical introduction to the world of AI, and it's designed specifically for you, finance and treasury professionals. This course will bring clarity to core AI concepts, and we're going to explore real use cases that you can apply with confidence. By participating in this course, you will gain the knowledge to identify use cases where you can apply AI within your own organization. You will be able to support the evaluation process in terms of whether you should build versus buy an AI application, and ultimately giving you the tools to empower your team to experiment with AI responsibly. Now, just a quick introduction on myself. My name is Sonny Spencer, and I have the privilege of leading global finance operations for a publicly traded SaaS company located in the Bay Area. I'm originally from the UK, where I trained as a chartered accountant with one of the large audit firms in the UK. Now, I've previously held a number of positions since my transition to the United States back in 2014. I've served as a controller for a software startup in the Seattle area, where I live and work today. And more recently, I led finance technology for a publicly traded SaaS company also in the Seattle area. Now, I've had the opportunity to lead finance transformation for the best part of a decade, and I can honestly say that it's a very exciting time for all of us working in finance and treasury operations. Now, why does this course matter now? In my opinion, finance is really at an inflection point, and AI is shifting from small tactical automations to become broader, more strategic, giving us leverage over bigger end-to-end processes. So let's go ahead and take a look at AI in finance today. Big picture, it's still early, and I think that's a good thing. AI is still in this early majority phase. So we are not in the pioneer group. We are not those early adopters, but we are in this early majority phase, especially within finance. And what that means is we're still ahead of the curve as you think about kind of general release and broader experimentation with AI. And of course, there are some teams that are doing more advanced workflows, but generally speaking, we're still in this kind of experimentation phase where we're leveraging large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, to name a couple, to explore use cases that we may have. And with that, no one is behind yet. Even mature companies are still figuring out their governance around AI and giving access to AI tools and access to the underlying data to drive those tools, as well as how they think about just practical end-to-end workflows. At the same time, as companies are figuring all of this out, the tools are evolving day to day, even monthly. What seemed impossible only a couple of years ago may now be standard functionality as you think about where we've come. We now have ChatGPT 5 level models that are available to us, agentic orchestration. There's lots of tools and functionality that are being made available to us now that maybe weren't available only a couple of years ago. And this creates really a rare window for us where we can learn the basics now to disproportionately accelerate our career in the long term. Also, as I've said, finance teams are experimenting, but we have a real challenge, and that challenge is time. Time is a bottleneck for finance teams today. Every finance and treasury team that I know wants to adopt and certainly explore AI, but very few of them have the time to experiment. Between month-end close, forecasting cycles, system changes, ERP migrations, reporting deadlines, you name it. None of that stops. We have to continue to meet the needs of the business. And as a result, we're finding that finance and treasury teams are often reactive rather than proactive when it comes to the use of AI. Now, the goal here is to not be spending hours and hours tinkering, complex models. The goal is to build from simplicity, build something that is repeatable, scalable, and build those habits into our day-to-day work and not make them one-off proof of concept exercises. So there is real opportunity here for finance teams. And I want to be clear, AI is here to augment the work that we do and not replace the human beings. It's really about scaling accuracy, speed, scenario analysis that may take hours can now happen in seconds. And it's going to improve how we can support our internal stakeholders and our internal customers because we can be more responsive and come to them with insights at much quicker rate. Let's face it, finance and treasury is data rich. It's the perfect playground for AI use cases, for handling reconciliations, analysis, supporting forecasting, handling of exceptions, identifying fraud. There's so many use cases that are applicable within finance and treasury today. My hypothesis is that the biggest gains will be seen in the next 12 to 24 months. And it's going to come from AI assistance, leverage for specific workflows. This gets more into the Agentic AI that we'll explore a bit later. Now we're going to bring it back to this specific course and we're going to confirm the learning outcomes. But before we do, I do just want to share with you a quick quote from someone that you might have heard of. So this quote comes from someone that you may know, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. And Sam has said, AI will most likely lead to the end of the world, but in the meantime, there will be great companies created. And, you can't help but smile when you hear this quote. I think you have to appreciate the dual perspective that we're being given here. The quote highlights and acknowledges, the potential for, catastrophe, let's say, as we push forwards with advancements in AI. And, we will talk about leveraging AI responsibly in this program and the importance of that. But I also think he's speaking to the immense progress and opportunity that there is in leveraging AI. So we need to keep that in mind. Yes, AI should be used responsibly, and we'll talk about that, but also leveraged for the immense progress that we can make and the opportunities ahead. So I wanted to share that with you before we jump into the learning outcomes for this program. In terms of prerequisites, there really are no prior kind of AI or technical experience components that are needed to be successful in taking this course. Now, I will say some basic knowledge of finance operations or treasury operations will certainly help you. Understanding the close cycle, understanding financial reporting, how we manage cash, financial planning, etc. will help you be successful in this program, but is not fundamentally required. Ultimately, the most important skill that you need to be successful with this program is a willingness to experiment and to practice with your own business data and examples, really following along. If you can do that, you're going to experience the outcomes that we're going to cover here. So by the end of this training program, you will understand where finance is today in the AI adoption curve and what that means for your role. We're going to learn foundational AI concepts in clear, practical language that you will have confidence sharing with others in the future. You're going to get hands-on in this course, and we're going to use structured exercises that map to real life scenarios. And ultimately, the goal is to build that finance AI muscle, the ability to identify high value opportunities for AI, the ability to design prompts that will leverage the right outcomes, and ultimately build AI driven workflows. So now that you have a better understanding of this course and the learning outcomes that we are targeting, let's look at how you can get the most out of this training course. So I want to start off just by confirming some of the things that this course is not intended to do. And hopefully you didn't attend this program with the expectation of doing a bunch of coding and programming. That's not what's going to be in this course, and certainly is outside of my expertise. We're not going to be building full-scale AI automations from scratch. We are going to be covering real-life use cases in smaller components that you can apply immediately. And it's not about abstract AI theory, although I will say we're going to cover some of the basics, coming back to the learning outcome of understanding AI concepts and being able to speak to them confidently. But that's where we'll stop. So to make sure you have the right mindset as we get started here, I want you to start off small, and we'll be starting fast to build momentum. That's the goal here, is to build that momentum and really get you on your way into leveraging AI in your day-to-day. We're going to think about workflows and not just individual tasks, and that's going to be important. That's where we can really get leverage from AI, not just thinking task by task, but thinking bigger picture in terms of end-to-end workflows. You ultimately need to be curious and open to experimentation. We've already touched on that a little. It won't be the last time that you hear this in this training program. I would love to see you document what works. Ultimately, you're building a playbook that you can leverage in your day-to-day. And that may look a little different from others, depending upon how you support your company. I really want you all to follow along with our practical exercises and apply these real scenarios. And it's going to continue to add value as you move along. So again, we're going to start small, but we're going to start fast. So to summarize what we've covered in Chapter 1, in terms of the big picture and how AI is impacting finance and treasury teams today, we talked about that it's still early and that that's a great thing. There's huge opportunity here for finance and treasury operations. Time continues to be a bottleneck, and the goal is that this training program is going to enable you to carve out, a few hours and then apply this with speed. And as I've mentioned, AI is here to help augment the work that we do today and not replace us. We covered the learning outcomes. We talked about there being no need for prior AI knowledge. We're going to build this from the ground up. And you will be understanding foundational AI concepts. Ultimately, we're building towards flexing that finance AI muscle, and we're going to do that by experimenting together with real business scenarios. And then with any training program, but especially this one, you're going to get out of it what you put in. This is not a programming course. You will need to follow along and really learn by doing and continue to be curious all along the way. In Chapter 2, we're going to cover a very brief history of AI. I promise it will be brief. This is some of the theory to get you comfortable with the evolution of AI and key terminology. We're also going to look at some of the recent technology breakthroughs and what they mean for finance teams today. And we're also going to look at why we are experiencing accelerated growth with AI and adoption now. We're also going to look at, where is there some hype with AI versus the reality. That's going to be a great topic. And with that, we have successfully completed Chapter 1. Congratulations. Thank you very much. I will see you in the next chapter.